My name's Daniel Higgins. I'm an artist and maker. I come from an art background. I studied fine art, but I've sort of drifted into making furniture and interiors and working with artists and designers over the years. So that's a role that I very much sort of sit in. I'm really excited to be working on this project with the Cadillacs and Cadillacs project. And my role within that is to be designing and making. I suppose it's like a mobile museum, it's like a giant traveller trunk, a steamer trunk that contains a lot of the AV stories and other parts, like a quilt, which has been made, which is amazing. And making it basically something to hold it all together. It's really nice to be working as well with something that is got a life outside of just being a visual object, or it's got to live in the real world, and it's got to be usable to a certain extent. So it's always treading quite a fine line between all of these things. It's really interesting to think about the people whose memories and objects are being offered as part of this project. It's really nice to think about those people as I work and think about the history of London and all the lives that people have lived their lives in London, and how we honour that, I suppose, because everyone's experience is different, and it's really interesting to see all of these different backgrounds and the ways that people use the city as their own home ground. Having said all of that, I'm also really conscious in the making side of it, how we reuse materials, because obviously we all have an understanding that we have to look after the resources that we've got and not make an excessive amount of new waste in the production of this, which is something that's really important in my work and artwork as much as it is in this project. So I'm going to be using lots of reclaimed materials, such as I've got an old radio which is going to be repurposed as a speaker as part of the AV element, which is really exciting. So that's a whole another section of my making. There's going to be some traditional leatherwork techniques, because everything has to be made, as the case is slightly outsized, everything has to be made rather than bought off the shelf. So we've got some reclaimed leather from a market, which is then going to be fashioned into the traditional old case handles. We're using wood, which is for the interior sort of drawers, which will be from London trees, which is supplied by a local firm. So when London trees are felled for things like HS2 or around Euston, the wood's brought up and processed and kiln dried, so that we can use it to make fine furniture, and it's really nice stuff. So it will be the London plane trees that you see everywhere. It will be the wood from that, which is very beautiful wood, which normally just gets chipped by the council. So we're going to be using that. So everything is very much local and sustainable as much as possible. It means that we get to keep everything quite local and circular, and it really is of London, even in the very fabric of the piece, which is a really exciting prospect. It takes a lot of thought. It's a lot of fun as well, though. So it really stretches me with all these different techniques and materials. I have to have one hand and then the other, and it's metalwork and woodwork and painting, and so I'm learning an awful lot as well as I go, because you can't know all the techniques, and sometimes you don't know how somebody made something in the past. So it's talking to people as well, people who've worked in those areas, and it all adds up to a really broad and interesting story. So it's as much a journey for me as it is for anyone else telling their story. It's a journey for me in learning where necessary, or just utilising techniques that people have perhaps done in London for hundreds of years. But it's really interesting to think that people may have been travelling to work to go to the places. It all just feeds into a very rich subject. It's very exciting. I'm very pleased to be working with it.